All right, we're almost fully set up, but still waiting on a few more tools. However, there is plenty to talk about with Ethereum today, looking at Ethereum Bitcoin pairing and also a little bit of just regular Ethereum as well as we do get into it. So other than that, I'm going to welcome you back to the Air Crown Crypto channel. It's a nice little It's Thursday. Doesn't matter what day it is. Let's just jump right into it. So we'll start off running over here with Ethereum on the weekly, Ethereum Bitcoin this is. And I just wanted to first put on my drawing tools because the last time that we looked at this one, we were looking at this one as putting in yet again another lower high after getting that silver cross to the downside back on over in April and May. We haven't really spoken about it too much since then, but putting these LARP lines, and I just happened to put it up today or pull it up today, and it's like, all right, looks like it's inbound, and in this case, we can see that still that white 200 moving average at the bottom here at about 5.4, 5.5, and kind of working it up, working its way up million satoshis is going to be a general area of interest for this one as it does continue on with this overall downtrend. As I reference my notes over here, I just want to go again and remind myself of the prior analysis, which was that hidden bearish divergence on the weekly RSI. Now we are seeing follow through on top of that as the weekly RSI does dip its little toesy woesies into the bearish control zone for the first time since May of 2022. May of 2022 was, I believe, around one of the Luna crashes, whatever the hell happened over here. And, well, it's been quite some time, but finding its way back down around there as the weekly jewel also is potentially going to get a simultaneous downside signal here too. Obviously, still a few more days left to confirm that one, but looks, I would say, probably very likely. And generally speaking, Ethereum Bitcoin is going to be pretty damn bearish here on the weekly, especially as long as it's below that green 55 exponential moving average, which is in the mid 6.5 million Satoshi region. Anyways, back onto my notes over here, I did want to also speak about the monthly time frame. Just showing that that area of interest does align very, very nicely here with that green 55 exponential moving average on the monthly. So probably a bounce somewhere around there. And then we'll come back to it probably after that. How long does that take? I don't know. Probably before end of year if I had to guess. And then we can get into the quarterly, also closing at the end of this month. And what do you know? That yellow 21 exponential moving average does seem to be within the vicinity of all of those same targets in kind of like that mid 5.5 million Satoshi region. Other than that, the quarterly doesn't really have too much going on here. But generally speaking, if we're just looking at this chart long term, what do we see? Well, first off, let me just make sure that you actually can see everything. Okay, you can. That's good. Just double check on this damn monitor. But yeah, we can see that this one essentially just tested the highs of what we did see, or sorry, not the highs, but the breakdown region of what we did see in July of 2018. That was essentially your run in 2021, retested again in 2022, late 2022, that is. After retesting a high like that, things are most likely to pull back. So I did get a lot of, I didn't get that much hate for this one, to be fair. I think that this one's pretty cut and dry, but just a very long-term chart does take a long time to play out. So understand that we're looking at a monthly, quarterly, something like this. We're talking about like half a year to a year's worth of price action, realistically speaking, but slowly come to fruition here. And as we can see, that mid 5.5 million Satoshi region going to be a big area of interest, at least for a bounce, maybe a reversal, could very well be a reversal. But of course, if we do start to see Ethereum Bitcoin lose like the 5.2 million, 5.3 million Satoshi region, it's a long way down. It's a long way down, just put it bluntly, as I would generally be looking for Ethereum to kind of retest the breakout regions of what we did see in early 2021. Anyways, we can go over and check out the HBDR indicator over here, just on the 12-hour time frame. The daily's, pretty similar in this case, but I think the 12-hour just gets it a little bit more lovingly. And we can see that the current range low coming in about 5.8.5 million Satoshis. So short term, still probably another move to the downside, probably a try for a bounce somewhere along there. And again, long term, I just want to reiterate my stance on this one that I'm generally going to be pretty bearish on it as long as it's below about 6.5 million Satoshis. That's going to be a big number long term. I think the daily range is showing, about the same thing actually, to be fair. So not really too much to be speaking about there. We can go over stochastic momentum, I suppose, just to see see where the higher term time frame pivots are at. Daily time frame, I should note, is like extremely in the critical zone here. So, it wouldn't be asking too much for this one to get a short-term bounce relatively soon. But as you can see, momentum remains to the downside still, as long as it's below about 6 million satoshis. So, it's kind of hard to love at this point. 2-day time frame also nosediving in that critical zone. Again, it's really not going to take too much to get this one on a bounce, but still, when we go to the 5-day, the weekly, you will see still heavy downside pressure below about 6 million satoshis for the 5-day and the weekly, as you can see right here as well. And the monthly also nosediving after putting that head and shoulders on this. And, well, I suspect that we will test at least around the edge of the critical bearish control zone. So, likely more downside to come on this one, as it does, look and perform pretty damn ugly. We can also see that, just looking at the weekly stochastic versus, a BBWP volatility indicator over here, this has been some of the lowest periods of volatility cooking in this one for basically the whole year, since December of 2022. So about, 9-10 months now, basically. Okay, hopefully you can't hear that next door. Sounds like someone's getting dildoed in their face. Maybe it's an Ethereum Bitcoin holder. I don't know. It could be. We don't know what happens in Dubai. All sorts of crazy shit happens in Dubai. But again, this one does look like it's still kind of searching for that next. I don't want to say what's the word? What's that damn word that people always use? Yeah, capitulation. But just that next major downside move before at least attempting for a bounce, like I said, in the mid fives. Is probably, I do think it'll at least try for a bounce there, and maybe by the grace of Mr. Buterol, it will reverse. But, bounce into another lower high below like 6.5 million satoshis. Have to really be looking like much further down than that, in the coming half year to a year. Anyways, we can go check out Ethereum, just regular old Ethereum, regular old Buterol over here, and see what it's doing. I don't know why I typed in Ethereum like that, but okay. Anyways, weekly, I did want to just point out that this one is getting rejected kind of at the area that Boolaws really don't want to see, right at that 200 simple. It should also be noted that, Ethereum relative to Bitcoin is just overall weak. This is a Bitcoin market right now, and a few weeks ago I was looking at Bitcoin dominance saying, hey, this might be a reversal point, but we need to see the end of September, and if September comes back above about 50%, well, then it's just not bearish, it's bullish. It's going to very likely work its way much higher. I think that's kind of what we're seeing right here. Now this one does get rejected by that white 200 simple. I don't think that is, all over for Ethereum USD just yet. Again, Ethereum USD could be flat while Bitcoin is slightly less flat and slightly up, and it would still lose value versus the Bitcoin pairing. But in this case, in order for me to be looking at this as a potential reversal on the weekly, I need to be seeing weekly closes back above the 200 simple minimum, and right now it's getting rejected there. So not the best sign for what it's worth. If we go over here to the monthly, is there anything of particular note? I mean, it's kind of like a hard place to get super bearish on as well. So that's what makes this difficult as it comes off the monthly 55. But where would I essentially be looking for a major continuation to the downside? In this case, very, very simple, very, very simple. Just anywhere below the low of these wicks over here would do it for me. 1650 basic. Wait, that's not right. Sorry, 1530. It's already below 1650, obviously, but 1530 or so below there. Even just on a tick, this one very likely probably undoes most of this rally that we did see. But until then, still a bit of hopium there for a higher low, and do want to remind myself that, it is, the biggest hopium here is actually this chart, as it does continue to, ride this long-term ascending trend line. I'm not a humongous trend line guy, but to be fair, it is in there, and this would be an ascending triangle long-term. Hopefully you really can't hear that outside. I don't know what the hell is going on here in the Palm, but people are going fucking crazy next door. Anyways, yeah, so in this case, still coming off that 382 fib, alongside this long-term region, which would be a higher low and would be, more bullish construction long-term. But But again, it all hinges upon, staying above that 1530-ish region. So I would still actually hold out on hopium for Ethereum long term, as long as that condition is met. But the second that it starts to go below, very likely we're going to see at least a move, below 1400, and probably below 1300 if I had to guess. But until then, I think that this one can really grind its way sideways and still lose value to Bitcoin and do something like this, and then maybe try for an upside move in like early 2024, something like that, January, February, and just kind of consistently lose value versus Bitcoin during that time. Of course, if it breaks down here as well, then that's just gonna get absolutely fucking crushed. But for right now, yeah, I think that's probably where I want to leave things, as there's not too much else to say about this one. Yeah, I am more inclined to say that this one probably does try for a low here still. So while I am my main message is that while I am quite bearish on Ethereum Bitcoin, I'm less so on Ethereum USD. I'm more like, I'm not bullish on it. It's boorish. It's sideways. It's a snake market, baby. It's a crab market, and it's going to continue to crab along most likely. So I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. Yet again, I'm still waiting on a few more tools to get my setup like fully rocking and rolling. But for now, better, much better at least, and I look forward to speaking to you again in this very one-sided conversation. As always, I'd like to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Friday.